When it comes to laws in recent history that have threatened to cause serious damage to creators and consumers everywhere, no law has ever come close to Article 13. Now, normally on this channel you will see me talk about movies where I break down the craft of writing and creating great film, but today I want to devote this month's video to an incredibly serious topic. One that is threatening to cause a major disruption to the way that everybody, including you, me, and everyone you know, creates and consumes content on the internet. Even if you are a creator or consumer based in the USA, this EU law, if passed, will cause a major disruption to the way that you use YouTube, Facebook, and other social media sites. To put it bluntly, if this new law, Article 13, gets implemented, there is a very real chance most content creators you know who are based in the EU will be banned from YouTube. And I wish what I just said was a lie. I wish that statement was just me exaggerating the facts to try and fearmonger, but unfortunately it wasn't. If Article 13 becomes law, hundreds of thousands of content creators, from those with 100 subscribers to those with 1 million subscribers, all across YouTube are under a serious threat of being terminated, including me. Now, 2 very quick notes before we begin. Firstly, you'll be seeing some video game footage in this video, instead of the usual movie footage. The reason why is I can appreciate the irony of making a video criticising a copyright law whilst unfairly using copyrighted content. And secondly, I want you to know that I am a biased party. If Article 13 passes, there is a very real chance that my channel, The Closer Look, where I have built my income and career around it, will be terminated, or at the very least be banned from being seen inside of Europe. The latter would seriously damage my career, and the former would leave me without any income and would essentially end my career. Now, first off, what is Article 13? Here's a simplified summary. The EU is currently passing a new bill titled the Directive of the European Parliament and of the Council on Copyright in the Digital Single Market. This directive has the aim of bringing current copyright laws up to date with the digital age inside the EU. There are many parts to this directive, but today we'll be focusing on just one part, called Article 13. Now, there are several reasons why this law is being passed, one of which is because of the music industry. On YouTube, you can find almost every song for free, and while you do watch ads to see those videos, the amount of money that brings the artist is sometimes 20 times less than what they would otherwise receive through platforms like Spotify. To put it bluntly, copyright holders, specifically those in the music industry, want more money. That is not the only, but it is one of the chief reasons this article is going through. Now, that's the boring part over, so let's get down to instead the frankly terrifying part. But to prove my point, here is a clip of Jack Nicholson.
You can't handle the truth!
Now, because I have used that 2-second clip, if in the future Article 13 gets pushed through, my channel will be banned inside the EU for no other reason than just that 2-second clip, even though it falls under 7 seconds, which means it's de minimis and very arguably falls under fair use. Now, you may ask why? Wouldn't you get a copyright strike first, right? That's how the system works. You break copyright on YouTube, that individual video gets blocked, and then you get a warning. If that happens 3 times in the space of 3 months, your channel gets terminated. Well, under Article 13, the 3-stage copyright strike system won't exist anymore. Instead, it will be the 1 copyright strike system, where after 1 offence, any channel will be blocked inside the EU. Why? Because under Article 13, they are making one massive change. This change is so fundamental, means so much for the future of all social media, that its importance cannot be overstated. The way YouTube has always been is if a user, let's call him Joe Blogs, uploads a copyrighted clip, the copyright holder can decide what to do next, and Joe Blogs, the uploader, will be punished. Joe is the one who is held accountable for his actions. Except now the EU is changing it so that if Joe uploads a video to YouTube that is copyrighted, the EU won't hold Joe accountable. Instead, they will go straight to YouTube and hold the platform accountable. enforceable. Now, I appreciate simply saying it like that doesn't seem like so much of a change, it seems like quite a small one. However, once this law is implemented, it will lead down a logical chain of events that will end up causing a jaw-dropping amount of collateral damage to all content creators on YouTube, even the ones who use no copyrighted content whatsoever. YouTube has over 400 hours of video uploaded per minute, and that number is increasing every other month. Even if you had a super advanced algorithm, one that is twice as advanced as the one YouTube currently has, there is no way you could scan all 400 plus hours per minute and register every single copyrighted clip. This means that many copyrighted images, music tracks and movie clips will slip through the net, and for every single copyright infringement on the site, YouTube is vulnerable to a lawsuit. There are a great number of ways a creator can obscure an audio track or a video clip or an image so it never gets detected by the algorithm. Here is a very quick example. Okay, so let's say this image is copyrighted. Well, how about we delete the background for it, make it back to front, so we invert it, change the colours, draw some spectacles on him, and then make it really small and put it in the corner. There is no algorithm on Earth that could reliably pick such an image as this up. Whenever you use copyrighted music and there is another sound on top of that, for example, a commentary of someone talking, the algorithm almost never picks that up either. Also, there are a huge number of cases where the copyright system gets it wrong and blocks videos that have used nothing copyrighted. There is one example where a guy made a 10-hour white noise track, where there was nothing but a static white noise he made in a program, and it got 5 separate copyright claims, all of which claiming they were the ones who made the track. Now, here is the thing. It is impossible for YouTube to accurately police that 400 plus hours uploaded per minute for copyright infringement. So what does YouTube do? The only thing they can do: stop people uploading videos and having videos shown inside of the EU entirely. Because if they don't, they are left vulnerable to being sued into oblivion for hundreds of thousands of separate breaches of copyright. And the same applies to other platforms like Facebook, Instagram, you name it. This means that for a YouTube video to be shown inside the EU, it simply will have to be manually reviewed. As a consequence, creators who cover timely matters such as news coverage will be affected horribly. News channels, by their very nature, need to be able to upload videos and have that video available within the day of the event. Now every video needs to go through manual review. That means news videos will come out days, if not weeks after the event, if even at all, which means the public will be less informed about important news updates on natural disasters and crime, and everything else will be heard less. This will cause the general public to be less informed. Channels like Philip DeFranco, Drama Alert, The Young Turks, and anyone who distributes news on YouTube will be greatly damaged by this law. This also has a terrible side effect for content creators who rely on fair use, namely the entire video essay community. Now, I am not a lawyer, so some things in Article 13 I simply did not understand the wording of, but from what I can tell, in the EU there will now only be 2 factors that determine fair use. Number 1, is it educational and non-profit? Now, what I do here on The Closer Look is educational, where I break down film to help aspiring writers and directors to become better at their craft. However, because I'm independent and I have no employer to pay me a salary, I have built my livelihood and career around this channel, and have had no choice but to monetize it. And this all means that under Article 13, even though The Closer Look is educational, it is still breaching fair use law and will be banned inside the EU, even though it is incredibly transformative. And also, the other factor is if it is a general review. However, there seems to be a rather curious caveat for that, where the right to use copyrighted material for the purposes of review only applies to publishers of press publications. Now, this is fascinating, because from the looks of things, if The Guardian wants to make a video review and use copyrighted clips, that is totally fine and it is fair use. But if the average Joe wants to become a movie critic and uploads the exact same video just as an independent creator and not a journalist, that is not fair use, and he will be banned for it. Which means if any independent movie reviewer you know on YouTube uses copyrighted clips, they will be banned in Europe, unless they are part of a newspaper or other press company. Otherwise, it is fair use and it's totally fine. The sad truth is that even if I stopped monetizing this channel and made it blatantly fair use under EU law, that won't matter anyway, and this channel will still be banned in the EU because fair use is subjective. In the USA, for example, fair use is determined by a number of variables. Is it for profit? Is it educational? Is it transformative? Is it reducing the income of the copyright owner? And even if a video meets every single one of those criteria, it is still not legally fair use because it can only be officially determined in a court of law, only after a lengthy, expensive, year-long trial, and only on an individual video basis. Each and every video is its own entirely separate court case for fair use, and YouTube would be juggling tens of thousands of such court cases all at the same time, where in the past the uploader, the creator, would be punished, would be the defendant. Now the platform is the defendant. YouTube is the one who gets sued when Joe Blogs uploads a copyrighted movie clip. YouTube is the one who gets sued when a copyright holder thinks that Nerdwriter's critical review of a film doesn't classify as fair use. This means that every single fair use clip on YouTube is a copyright lawsuit time bomb, which if it goes off where the copyright holder believes in their opinion it isn't fair use, which happens all the time, even when the fair use is blatant. Trust me, I have seen the other side of that many times. So if the holder, in their opinion, doesn't think it is fair use, then YouTube is the one who has to go to court to prove them wrong. This is an aspect of Article 13 it is clear as day the lawmakers have neglected, because now the platform is held accountable for the actions of its users. You will see a blanket, total ban on all copyrighted content inside the EU, even if it is for non-profit educational purposes, and it is a textbook example of fair use. This will undoubtedly lead to the total destruction of the Video Essay community on YouTube, not to mention many other communities like the YTP and meme community. At the very least inside the EU, at the very most on a global scale. By implementing Article 13, there is a very real chance the EU will kill the very concept of fair use on the internet, whether that be their intention or not. Now, what I do on this channel is strictly for education, but a lot of other video essayists out there, what they're doing is not strictly educational. For example, Nerdwriter, who by the way is a fantastic essayist. He made a video on why the film The Florida Project should have been nominated for an Oscar.
If the Oscars won't highlight The Florida Project, then I'm happy to, because it's without a doubt one of the best films of 2017. And watching it, for me, was one of those transporting experiences that I only get a few times a year.
Now, it's a very well-made video essay, and it's also not educational, and it's not technically a review, it is simply an argument. It is an opinion piece on why he thinks the mainstream awards should have given this movie, The Florida Project, more respect. Now, under US copyright law, this video is blatantly fair use, but under Article 13, it most certainly is not. And here's the thing, this video is benefiting Evan, the creator, as he is making a living from it. It is benefiting the people who made the film, as they're getting a ton of exposure, and no doubt this video is single-handedly responsible for many sales, as people have bought or rented this film to see it. And also it benefits the average Joe, as they get to watch a kick-ass, well-made analytical video, and also get a recommendation for a great movie they need to watch. This video, as well as the whole of Nerdwriter's channel, is benefiting all parties. Evan is doing a fantastic job at increasing film literacy and increasing interest in some really well-made movies out there. Whether the lawmakers intend it or not, Article 13 in its current state will undoubtedly lead to this video and the whole of Nerdwriter's channel being banned in the EU. And then that begs the question, what is the reason? Why do the politicians want Nerdwriter to be banned in the EU? And the answer, they don't. Because I don't think this ramification of Article 13 has even been considered by anyone who's pushed this law forwards. I mean, if you were a lawmaker and you implemented a law saying anyone who owns a knife will be sent to jail, sure, you'll send to jail the criminals, but you'll also send to jail butchers and carpet layers and people who live in the wilderness who simply need to use those knives as tools to survive. If you implemented such a law, you would be causing so much damage to so many people who otherwise were actually actually benefiting society. And as a result, we would stop having butchers. If you want a new carpet, well, tough luck, because now Stanley knives are illegal to own. Now, that metaphor is actually really applicable to Article 13, because as a result of this law, a serious number of people, including myself, people who are providing a valuable service to many people out there in such a way it actually benefits copyright holders, will be taken down. But okay, on the screen now you'll see a list of channels, many of whom are part of the video essay community, but all of which use copyrighted content as a fundamental and integral part of their own content. Everyone you see here, if Article 13 passes, at the very least will be banned inside of Europe, and at the very most be terminated entirely. The truly ironic thing is Article 13 is made to protect copyright holders, but by dismantling and destroying the film community on YouTube, not only will it stop the next generation of Christopher Nolans and Quentin Tarantinos from learning about their craft, but it will also decrease the number of people who are passionate about film. Article 13 will destroy the internet film community in Europe, and as a result will directly damage interest in movie culture inside of Europe, and as a direct result of that, will damage the European film industry. And Article 13 will undoubtedly be a detriment to many of the very copyright holders whom this article is trying to protect. Almost always, when a video essayist covers a film, that directly results in an increased interest in that film, unless that movie just happens to be called The Last Jedi, in which case we tend to be, well, quite harsh. But I have lost count in the amount of times I have mentioned a movie in my videos, provided a critical analysis of why it is such a good movie, and a bunch of my viewers go over and buy the film so they can watch it. And then you have to ask, if Article 13 does that, where it will not only cause unprecedented damage to established and thriving communities out there, not only potentially end the careers of thousands of people who are making a living from their passion, including me, but on top of that, it will make many copyright holders worse off, why even pass it at all? And you may ask, why am I saying thousands of creators' careers are ending? Don't you mean dozens? Unfortunately, that number was not an exaggeration. Going back to it, because YouTube cannot police the 400 plus hours uploaded every minute, not to mention the billions of videos already on the site, YouTube will have no choice but to assume everyone is guilty until proven innocent. And even if you upload something as benign as a vlog in your room, that will be blocked in the EU anyway, because there is a chance it has copyrighted content in it, which means there is a chance YouTube might get sued. So what would that look like? What is the worst case scenario? Unfortunately, at this stage, the worst case scenario also looks like the most likely one. The worst case scenario is every single smaller content creator on YouTube will be banned from uploading if they live inside the EU, as well as all imported videos from outside the EU being blocked inside of Europe too. The EU will become this dead zone for content creation where only the already established larger name channels like Rooster Teeth and Casey Neistat, and those who already have a massive following, will be allowed to have their content shown. The reason why is all content will need to be manually reviewed, and anyone who uploads copyrighted clips, even if said clips are textbook fair use, YouTube couldn't risk the lawsuit, so said creators will be assumed guilty and blocked with no exceptions. As a result, you will see YouTube stop being a site where innovation is encouraged and anyone can do it, to being this stagnant library of videos that is less than 1% of the size it once was, where the entire next generation of social media influencers all across the EU will never come to be, because everyone with less than 100k subs will be banned, even if they upload something as innocent as a comedy short. Under Article 13, where once there were no gatekeepers, which is one of the reasons social media is so goddamn great, and after you would need to have the blessing of an established creator to present your content on their channel, whether that blessing comes from being under their employ or paying them a fee. Simply put, if Article 13 passes, it will kill tens of thousands of European creators' careers before they could even start. And for many non-European creators in the USA, for example, it could still end their careers, as they would lose all EU viewership, which might be where they get the bulk of their views. This will all, most likely, result in the complete destruction of smaller, niche communities on the platform inside of Europe, like woodworking, creative writing, dog training, you name it. If you live in the EU, you live in Germany, Sweden, Ireland, Greece, Spain, or any other EU country, and you dream of one day becoming a YouTuber, of starting a channel and growing a following, and one day doing that as a full-time job, well, I hate to say it, but under an Article 13 Europe, you will have no choice but to give up on that dream. It's quite curious to see how such a simple change as making the platform responsible instead of the creator can have. But you know what, this isn't all bad. Sure, it will destroy tens of thousands of jobs, in the long run do a great deal of damage to the European economy, and cause a major disruption to the way that hundreds of millions of people consume content online, and effectively kill many thriving communities. It's alright, because now Ed Sheeran's music label can earn 5% more money because some of YouTube's users have moved over to Spotify. That is the worst case scenario, and it's also the most likely scenario, and I imagine you might call BS on what I just said. I know I would. That's usually the response people give after hearing such bad news as this. But let me provide you with a little proof, a little evidence to show you this eventuality is so much more possible than you might like to think. On the 22nd of October this year, YouTube released a statement. The full post is in the description, but let me read an excerpt. This growing creative economy is at risk, as the EU Parliament voted on Article 13, copyright legislation that could drastically change the internet that you see today. Article 13, as written, threatens to shut down the ability of millions of people, from creators like you to everyday users, to upload content to platforms like YouTube, and it threatens to block users in the EU from viewing content that is already live on the channels of creators everywhere. This includes YouTube's incredible video library of educational content, such as language classes, physics tutorials, and other how-tos. They go on to say, Article 13 threatens hundreds of thousands of jobs, European creators, businesses, artists, and everyone they employ. They go on to say, the proposal could force platforms like YouTube to allow only content from a small number of large companies. You know the situation is dire when YouTube itself is saying these things, where the prediction that I just made that sounds like some crackpot theory, one that wouldn't be out of place in a George Orwell novel, is the exact same prediction YouTube has already given in an official statement to the public. I hate to get political, I really do, but this is not like climate change. It is not something we will start to see the effects of in several decades' time. We will most likely see this change happen within the next 2 years, if not sooner, when the individual countries start to implement it. In January, the EU will have their final vote on Article 13. If that vote passes, Article 13 will officially become law. And what I just said, that outcome where even people who upload innocent makeup tutorials and tech reviews, even they get banned in the EU, it will more than likely become reality. Now, there is a critical problem a lot of these kind of videos have. They speak all about the doom and gloom, but do not provide any hope. They don't provide the viewer with a tangible thing they can do to stop it. Now, what can you do to stop this from happening? There is one integral thing you can do, which has been proven time and time again to be the most effective way to spread a message. Talk about it. Talk about this with your friends and family. The reason Article 13 has gotten so far to the point that it is nearly about to officially become law is because so few people are even aware of it, and out of those who are aware, few have realised the terrible effects it will have on our community. If you want to, like this video and share a link of it with anyone you think might listen. But also, here is the number one thing you can do. If you are an influencer, if you are a YouTuber or a streamer or someone with a large amount of followers on Twitter or any platform whatsoever, even if that platform is only 100 subscribers, please make your own video and talk about this to your audience, because if you don't do that by January, it will be too late to do that. The more influencers who spread this message, the faster we can all learn about it, and the faster we, the social media community as a whole, can stop this law. Also, here's another thing you can do. In the description is a list of all European Parliament members who are on Twitter. There are tons of them. These are the people who will be voting on Article 13 come January. Please find every representative from your country on that list and politely tweet at them explaining why they should vote against Article 13. Voice your opinion and maybe link them this video so they can understand the true ramifications this law will have. In January, we will see the final vote. After then, Article 13 is set in stone, and whatever fate our community has will be sealed. Now, the rest is up to you. Now, Christmas is coming up. In the next month, we are all going to be doing a lot of online shopping as we buy presents for our friends and family. I have just bought a PS4. I didn't buy it for my family, I just bought it for myself as a little treat. But in these coming months, one thing you need to be hyper vigilant about is your online security, which is where we come to NordVPN, who I can happily thank for sponsoring today's video. You never know when some criminal out there is peering into your devices and is taking note of your bank details and personal messages, and you are especially vulnerable to having your information stolen when using a public Wi-Fi. So please, just as a general life rule, never use a public Wi-Fi unless you have a VPN. However, when it comes to protecting your information and ensuring privacy as you browse online, in my opinion, there is no better way to protect yourself than by using NordVPN. What NordVPN does is it uses military-grade encryption on your computer, phone and tablet, so all that information, all your banking details, private messages and search history, all of that is almost impossible for any prying eyes to see. Whether that be a criminal who's trying to steal your data, or maybe even your own government who wants to monitor everything you see. There are some internet providers out there that log everything you do, but when using NordVPN, the only person in the world who knows what you've been looking at is you. I have been using NordVPN for over 6 months myself, and I can happily say it puts my mind at ease because it's just that added layer of security on my devices, just that added layer of privacy that stops someone from screwing up my day and stealing my information. Right now, NordVPN is having a massive sale where you can get 75% off a 3-year plan, and if you click my link in the description, you'll get an extra month on top of that, totally for free. If you want to get a VPN, I highly recommend you do so now, because as someone who uses this service, I can say this is a very good deal. When in the store, please use the code The Closer Look to get an extra free month on top of your plan for no extra cost. Under this deal, it will cost you $2.99 per month, and well, when I compare that to having the prospect of having my bank details stolen or the peace of mind I have from knowing my information is safe and nobody can see it, well, to me, to get NordVPN, especially with a deal like this, is something I would do in a heartbeat. Again, please click that link in the description or use my code The Closer Look at the checkout for a free extra month on your plan. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time on The Closer Look.